It's a good question. And I think the answer to that is, in essence, innovation that considers a variety of other stakeholders in the process of innovation, in the process of building that new venture or developing that new idea. And those stakeholders that are usually outside of your company and outside of your normal circle of stakeholders can be, the planet, the environment, a certain group of people, or a certain cause in some cases. That would be my definition of sustainable innovation. I think it is, and there are many reasons to the why. Obviously, some people are really moved by, the science and the facts behind climate change, for example, or being more fair to a certain group of individuals. Again, these are just people that are moved by data, but also there is a very, capitalistic component to that as well. We have to admit the fact that if we're looking at trends, the younger generation tends to buy products or use services or subscribe to certain services that have an impact component, not just the actual value proposition of the product or of the service, but also a sustainable or impact component to it. Reducing climate change or donating a certain amount of that purchase to a cause or anything else that is basically impact driven. So I think there are two reasons why a lot of companies obviously are interested in sustainable innovation. This is where I'm a bit skeptical that a lot of companies will be able to do it, because, to be honest with you, if you have failed as an organization to do innovation of any sort over the past decade or so, chances are that you are not going to succeed if you just sprinkle ESG or sustainability or impact on top of that. So if you failed at moving things from 0 to 1, just because now you call them sustainable, or just because now you are doing it for a sustainable reason, or you have an impact driving you to do that innovation, you'll probably not succeed. So this is why I'm quite skeptical that a lot of these organizations that claim they are on the bandwagon of doing sustainable innovation or impact-driven innovation, they will succeed. Now, to your point, what will it take for them to succeed? Obviously, they will have to start looking again and probably look harder at how they are doing innovation. I proposed the idea of an integrated innovation system in my previous works in the corporate startup book and in innovation accounting. Basically, instead of just thinking, let's just train people or let's just come up with innovative new ideas, we need to think of our value creation system in terms of its components. So basically, every innovation system, any value creation system, in my opinion, is made up of 5 parts: strategy, process and practice, governance, and then leadership and culture. And if your system fails in any of the 5 buckets or 5 areas, you won't see results from innovation. Organization and leaders in organizations need to take a harder look at what doesn't work in terms of their system. And I can tell you from experience that every system is different, and the reasons why innovation failed before and is failing now in some organizations is usually different from one organization to the other. It's always one other thing that doesn't work versus their competitor or versus somebody similar in their industry. Some organizations might have brilliant strategies, but they are not able to put those into practice. Some might have amazing practices. I'm looking at organizations that have, for example, amazing innovation labs where they're really good at collaborating with startups outside of their industry or even in their industry, to be honest, but they lack strategy or they lack governance. And we've seen organizations that have great culture, but they don't know how to do anything with that amazing culture. So every organization fails in a different way, if you want, if they fail at innovation. However, every organization that succeeded because they were able to align these 5 elements. So it's very important to look at why innovation failed in your case and what's the blocker, and then try to mitigate that blocker, try to solve the problem. I think it connects very well with the idea of sustainability. Why? Because startups are obviously more nimble. And by nimble, I mean that they are able to tap into trends faster, they are able to understand technology faster, they are able to acquire talent in a faster way than a traditional organization can. So for the organizations to move beyond their current core, open innovation becomes a very viable alternative. Because if the other option is to build it internally, that might take way, way too long. And in the context of sustainability, in the context of impact, we might just not have the time to do that. So this is why partnering can be a way for you to boost your internal innovation efforts and to literally just turbo boost your internal innovation efforts, just making it faster. Yeah, I think some of them do. I think some of them don't. And again, the results that we have seen from organizations over the past 10 years are just showing us quite clearly which C-suite understood what real innovation means and which C-suite didn't. If you look just at the things that happened during the pandemic, a lot of organizations just decided to pull the plug on their innovation efforts. And usually those were the organizations that haven't seen any return in the years prior to the pandemic. The organizations that during the pandemic doubled down on innovation were the ones that actually saw results and were the ones where the leadership team was actually committed to innovation, and not just committed, they had the data proving that innovation can happen in their organization. So again, I think it's quite impossible for us to just brush everybody with the same broom and say, I think all the executives understand it, or none of the executives understand it. I think it's a matter of different countries, maybe different sectors that understand it better than others. And in general, it varies from company to company. I'm a bit skeptical. I'm skeptical of the fact that we might now see ESG theater or sustainability theater as we have seen innovation theater over the past 10 years or so. I'm not saying that ESG will not happen, and I'm not saying that we won't see any organizations, being successful or with sustainability and bringing sustainability to life and showing others that it can be done. I'm just saying that for this to work at scale, the judges are still out on that. I think that we run the risk of seeing the innovation theater that we have seen in the previous 10 years with the majority of organizations. Again, there will be organizations that succeed, and we're going to see impact from those. And kudos to them. I'm looking into open innovation now, so I have a title coming out hopefully this year or beginning of next year, depending on how conversations go with some publishing houses. So it's going to be the book is going to be called Open Innovation Works, and it's going to follow the same format and basically the same style as the previous two books. And in general, I'm just doing consultancy and data-based consultancy. So we're using data in all of our interventions. For example, if we have organizations that are interested in changing the way they do things, or if they want to improve their innovation efforts, we usually have them take an assessment before we start working with them, just because we want them to understand what they're suffering from and create solutions that are aligned with their problems, not just off-the-shelf things that work for the company across the street. Going back to what we just discussed around the innovation system, in essence, we are assessing how developed their innovation system is and which one of the 5 buckets or 5 pillars, as we call them in the assessment, our organization actually suffering from.